and a lover of life. A few years ago, John served Unity at the Lake as music director and a position we called Harmony. And he has been our guest speaker numerous times and will be in the future. John calls Lake Tahoe his home. Lake Tahoe has brought him guidance, purpose, connection with great people, and grand adventures. His latest adventure is chiropractic school, where he's learning how to connect mind, body, and spiritual healing in a new way. So I'd like to invite John back to the stage as our speaker today. I believe he is speaking about God is in our good.
Yeah, sure.
A couple of those words.
Okay,
Right.
well, yeah, it's,
Here you go.
you know. If there's ever anyone who's hard to peg, it's me. To peg down sometimes with things like that, like titles and when I'm going to start a song and how long I'm going to keep going through a song. And it's living that flow life, you know, just going for it. Well, thank you for being here. Good morning to you. Are you enjoying the celebration so far? Yeah. Good. Okay, great. That's all I want. I want you to feel welcome and feel the warmth of this room. Can we just give one voice a hand? It's such a pleasure to come and play. And give Annie a hand as well, because she holds it all together and she allowed me to do this, so I appreciate her so much. Well, I sat with my talk title, and I am going to touch on that a little bit, that we don't have to have challenges or disparity or rough times to know God, to tap into spirit, to be in that flow. It can be with us in the good times too. And some other stuff came through, so I'm going to go down that road. First of all, thank you for being here. Thanks for braving the weather. It wasn't too slippery today, but I appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. And everybody on Zoom, thank you for being here. And I'd just like you to take the power that we all have here and just send some love to my brother Dylan, D-Y-L-A-N, that's his name. I just found out the other day from my parents that he is going through a divorce with his wife. And it's kind of already happened. And so I sent him a text today, and I just said, hey, I just want to say I love you, bud, and I'm here for you, however you want. I'm here to listen, here to talk, whatever you need. And he responded back, and my brother is, if I could tell you a little bit about my brother, he is a great person. He's a great man. He's always walked the line and done what is right and what he was guided to do, and he's lived the American dream. We grew up together in a small town. He went to college, became a math teacher. He fell in love with his wife, and she actually is a chiropractor, so that's kind of a cool connection as well. And they did it for 15 years, and they did it right. And he built a house, and she lost both of her parents in the last 5 years, and I think that has contributed to this. And if you've ever been through that, I don't want to bring up any trauma for you, but I've been through it, and I understand the shame and feeling like a failure, and your sense of worth and your sense of value, and everything that you thought you had going for you just washes away in what seems like an instant, and the life that you built is gone. I was too young when I did it, but coming back to that word wisdom in unity is that innate knowing, that knowing in the pit of your stomach. Some call it intuition, but we have this wisdom inside of us. And my wisdom told me not to get married. I was young and adventurous at the time, but I didn't want to lose the person I was in love with at the time. Anyways, not about me. he did it right. And I know that he feels bad, and we don't have the kind of relationship where he would call me up. He's a very independent person. And so I was thinking about this the other day when my parents told me, and my heart just kind of sank for him because I've been given all these tools to deal with things like this. I didn't have them at the time of my divorce, but he's not me. He hasn't been given these tools. You know, I've been lucky enough to be part of groups here in Tahoe with Juliet and Stephanie and Carol and everybody here at Unity, and have these tools to navigate such waters. And I was thinking about my role in this, and I just wanted to reach out and give him a hug because I wanted to be there for him and know that it's okay to cry, it's okay to break down, it's okay to be sad. And he's still loved, because it's a hard thing to go through. And I know it's turned his world upside down. He's had everything in life under control. And this is the seemingly first hiccup that he's ever had. And that's an amazing thing for him to be 2 years younger than me. But it's an opportunity for him to grow. And I see that, and I don't know if you experience this, but a lot of times we see the intelligent design of life for other people before they do. And other people are able to see it for us before we do because we're in it. And that's a really beautiful thing to tap into. And thinking about that word wisdom, I know that he's going to be okay, but I'm still going to put energy into him right now and send him my thoughts and prayers and be here for him. And so if you could just hold him in your hearts through a healing process, that would be great. Thank you. So that kind of wisdom, that innate knowing, it comes with, there's responsibilities that come with that. Patience is one. It's about being responsive in moments, not being reactive. You know, when my parents told me that news, I didn't call him right away. I didn't harass him about it. I knew that he would have to reach out to me because that's his way. But I just wanted to send something out there today to him, just to let him know. And he responded back. He said, we can talk about it. So that feels pretty good. Yeah, so not to bring the room down. That's just something that's kind of in my heart right now. So Juliet gave a beautiful talk last week talking about, being on the tides of the ocean and flowing with life and tapping into grace and God in those times. And she's been through a lot in the last 6 months. But we can be aware of God and tap into that spirit source inside of us when times are good. And I feel like this is important because it's easy to, I remember growing up, it's kind of like you grow up and you become an adult, right? 18, 20 years old. And you go into your 20s and you feel like you got it all together. You're as big as the adults, and you go out and you're trying things, and you're able to make money, and you're able to take on endeavors, and you feel like you can be an independent person. And we've all been, everybody in this room has been here except for Luca. He'll be there next year. 8 going on 20. But you start to take, and it's kind of like walking as a baby. You start to take steps on your own. And you take risks, and you try new things, and you move, and you go into relationships under just the law of attraction, not knowing what a relationship really is or looks like. No experience with that. And life hits us pretty hard in our 20s. It hits us pretty hard, and a lot of chaos comes about because we're not very good at being intentional. We don't have the wisdom to understand the pitfalls of life. And so sometimes we have to go back and rely on our parents, rely on friends, rely on these other things in our world, these resources, to help get us through that. And we learn. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't develop a faith system until we hit rock bottom. And looking back, I see the benefits of my faith system as something that I wish I'd had at a younger age. And I see the power of it now. And I understand, and like going into my 30s, once my son was born and coming up to this point now, like the last 10 years have been such a blessing. Not that there hasn't been challenges and woes, but I have the tools and I have the faith to deal with it in a better way. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's even more important now that I have that faith system and I have those tools to tap into Spirit, Source, God, and say thank you. Thank you for being here with me on this journey. Because it's all here with you, helping you, guiding you on your path. And there's really good people in your life that see your path laid out before you even see it. And they say, yes, 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 go this way. Don't go this way, go this way. And that's so amazing to me that God is with us in the good times. So just touching on my talk title, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on with that. And it kind of brings me back to everything comes, I have a chiropractic lens now, thinking about what I'm going to go into. And chiropractic is kind of that way, and it's a challenge because, and you've probably heard Stu say this a million times, what's good for you when you're sick is good for you when you're well. Like, how many of you, go see a chiropractor or acupuncturist or a massage therapist or something on a regular basis just for wellness? Yeah. It's hard to convince people of that. People respond to their pain and they don't want to be in pain. And pain brings them into the office. One of my professors said, pain brings your patients into the office. It's your job to educate them on what chiropractic is and how it is a pivotal part of life to keep yourself moving and keep your nervous system functioning optimally and just staying in that health frame of mind. I mean, obviously I'm a believer in chiropractic, but I tell you, I feel the best that I've felt in years after being in school for 2 years and being over-adjusted and poorly adjusted by students and my friends. I still get the good adjustments too, but I feel amazing. I'm like the healthiest I've ever been. And I'm like in the gym doing things I haven't done in years. And I'm just like, wow, I can go all the way back with my neck and like there's no pain. It's crazy. It's amazing. So I hope you are able to do your wellness care, whatever that is for you, your daily meditation, working in your gardens, staying, skiing, getting out and hiking, playing with the kids, biking, all the things. It's so important to take care of yourself. And we all know that. We live in this playground that is Tahoe. It comes natural to us. So I think about my role in certain situations, and I have a story to share with you. I take his annual ski trip every year, and that's just going to distract me probably. I take an annual ski trip every year to the Rapid City, South Dakota area, the Black Hills. Have you ever been to Mount Rushmore or that area? It's beautiful. Anyways, there's a ski mountain there. And my cousin and a bunch of guys come out from my hometown in Iowa, and we all just have a weekend. And it's great, skiing, fun, whatever. So I get on, I'm in the Denver airport, about to get on a little plane to go from Denver to Rapid City, which is about a 45-minute flight. And I go to get a coffee at the coffee shop in the terminal there, and I see this guy. And this guy is struggling. This guy, he's probably in his mid to late 50s. And he looks kind of unorganized and disheveled. He's got his hair pulled back in like a bun. He's got like red hair with like white roots, and he's got like a plumber's crack showing, and like his belt doesn't work, and he's digging in his pocket to get change out to like finish paying for his coffee. Like the guy is kind of a mess. And I look at this guy, and I'm a people watcher. I love watching people, and I just take him in, and I'm just like, okay, I'm never going to see this guy again in my life. So I kind of jettison him from my mind, and I get my coffee and whatever. I get on the plane, and it's one of those little planes. If you've ever been on one of those little planes where there's like 2 seats on each side of the aisle, yeah. And I go all the way to the back, and I'm tucked in like Tetris, just tucked into the back. The last 2 rows, 13, whatever. And I got the window seat, and I'm back there. I'm like, okay, cool, because these flights never fill up. They're never full. And so I go back, and I got my bag, and I'm sitting there looking out the window. It's a tiny plane. And I look up, and here comes this guy. And he's shuffling down, and he had bought a coffee, he'd bought a bag of chips, and he'd bought a Coke Zero or something, Coca-Cola, something. And he's just like coming down with his backpack. He's got a backpack. And this guy looks like a 12-year-old trapped in a 55-year-old's body, who's like his mom just like put everything in his backpack and just like sent him off to go visit some family. This guy is just like unorganized, and sure enough, he comes and he looks and he's like, oh, 13. This is me. And I'm like, oh, good God. Okay. And he slumps in, and I kid you not, like I'm sitting like this, and he slumps in, and he's against me here, and he's against me here. And we're just like wedged in, and I'm just like, oh, it's a 45-minute flight, John, you can do this. And the first thing that hits me is the smell. This dude smells horrible, awful. And I have to tap into Farm Boy John's, Rolodex of memories, and like, what is this smell? And I'm like, is it hogs? Is it cattle? It's not. And I see his bag. He puts his bag on his lap, and I see an emblem on the front, and it says Pilgrim with a chicken on the front. And I'm like, oh, it's a chicken smell. He smells like a chicken coop. He smells like a chicken coop and body odor. And he's just sitting next to me, and I'm just taking this in. I'm scanning in front of me. I'm like, this plane is not going to fill up. I'm preparing my like, we should move so both of us have more space speech. The plane completely fills up. I'm just like, okay. So I'm sitting here, and the guy's name is Kyle. And he looks like a chicken. He's got his hair pulled back in like a bun. He's got like a pointy nose, beady eyes, and he's got like a beard and a mustache, and his hair is white with like red tips. He looks like a chicken. And I'm just like taking this guy in. And he looks out the window past me, and he's, oh, we're right by the turbine. Oh, if that thing blows, we'll be the first ones to go. And I'm like, optimist, like it, super. And he just starts making these comments. And he's like, did you notice how young the pilot was? And I'm like, yes, I did. Yes, I did. And he's like, it's not a big deal. If she can't do it, like, I can take over. I'm like, okay. Because I don't know if I'd trust you with my animals. Like, and he tells me, he's like, yeah, I train on the flight simulator at home. It's the same one that the military and these pilots use. Same one. He's like, sometimes I crash it just because I get bored. And I'm like, all right, making me better about advocating for you taking over for the pilot if we need to. Not that that's going to happen. And we're taxiing down the runway. And she gets it up to speed. And he's like, you can take off anytime, you're going fast enough, and it just starts narrating the flight. And we get up in the air, and he's like, she's gonna bank left here pretty soon. And I mean, sure enough, we bank left. And like, so he kind of knows some stuff, whatever. And and I said, what brings you, or what did I say? I can't remember, but he's like, this plane's a lot smaller than the one that I flew in on from Tallahassee. I'm like, okay. And I said, what do you do in Tallahassee? And he's like, I work at Pilgrim Chicken Farm, and I kill chickens. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy. And I look at his pants, and he's got holes in his pants, and he's got like dried blood stains on them. Like this dude came like right from work. And I'm just like sitting there, I'm wedged in next to this guy, and he's just like rubbing on me, and I'm rubbing hair, and I'm just like, I'm gonna have to burn my clothes when I get to Rapid City. These clothes are gonna be done. I'm gonna smell so bad. And the guy in the seat right in front of me turns his head and says, oh, I just flew in from North Carolina today. Like, he's like, this is my second flight. And Kyle goes, this is my second flight too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys. And Chris, the guy in front of me, he's about 30, and he looks like he cut his own hair. Like his hair is just a mess. And these guys start talking about their flights and stuff. This is their second flight, and Kyle's a flight simulator pro. He's a legend in his mind. He knows everything about airplanes. And these guys turn into like little kids on the flight. They're looking out the windows. Wow, look at those mountains down there. They look like anthills. Is that a horse? Those cars are tiny. And Kyle's like, oh, I've never seen this side of the clouds when we got above the clouds. He's like, I've never seen this side of the clouds. And I'm like, Joni Mitchell song? Probably not a fan. Okay, that's fine. And so I'm taking this in, and I'm trapped, and I'm just like, boy, God really has a sense of humor. I'm like, and there's been a lot of plane activity for some reason. This last year has not been good for planes, for Boeing or whatever, and I'm just like, boy, if this is the plane I go down on, man, this is funny. And I'm thinking that to myself. And the stench is just horrendous. It's bad. And we get up to cruising altitude, which is like 10 minutes on that flight. And I asked him, I said, what brings you to Rapid City? He's like, well, my brother drove me down to Tallahassee to fly out here to visit my mom. My mom lives in Rapid City, and she's got stage 4 cancer, and I'm going to visit her. And something clicked in me. And, taking in all of that external, like Sherlock Holmes taking in a scene, that's all like intelligent knowledge, taking all that in and making associations. But when he said that, I finally dropped that lens, and I saw him. And I wasn't thinking about the smell or the sights or the absurdity of the situation anymore. And I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And he said, yeah, my brothers and sisters couldn't make it, so I'm going back to visit her because she only has a little bit of time left. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy could have gotten that call. Maybe he didn't have the relationship with his mom that we would think he would have. And maybe he got that call, and maybe he was at work, and maybe he had to have his brother come pick him up. And he's in his work clothes, and all he had was the backpack that he takes to work. Maybe that's why he was disorganized. Maybe that's why he had the appearance he had. I don't know any of this. I didn't ask him. But this guy was going to visit his mom for like the last time to say goodbye. And he talked about his mom. I talked to him for about 5 more minutes as we descended. And I talked to him, and he just shared about his mom, how, great of a woman she was and how great of a mom she was to him, and how he hadn't been home in a while and how he kind of felt bad about that. And this guy, we never know what people are going through when we encounter them, no matter what state they're in. And so, like, being able to sit through all of the absurdity and the superficial senses of what was going on, and feeling kind of like a victim in that moment, that just all falls away. And you see that person and you connect with that person. And he spoke of his mom with reverence, with love, with compassion. And I saw him. And I was like, thank God that I didn't think about this at the time. I thought about this since. Thank God that I was in that seat. I grew up in farm country. I can handle that smell. I am someone who people can come to and talk about anything with. That's fine. I am someone who is able to endure those kind of situations where it's not really comfortable to be around somebody. I can do that. And that's not me bragging. I just can do that. I've been that person since I was a little kid. My parents used to get really worried in the grocery store because they'd turn around and I'd be gone. And I'd be in the next aisle as like a 3-year-old talking to some dude. I'm that guy. And thank God that I'm not someone who was so uncompassionate that I would just be, a lot of people wouldn't be able to handle that smell. They wouldn't be able to handle the stains and the appearance of this guy. Oh, and this guy was just eating a bag of chips, just shoveling them into his mouth, right? Drinking a Coke. I'm just oh my gosh, this guy. And a lot of people wouldn't be able to handle that. And thank God that I was there and I didn't make him feel bad about how he felt, about how he appeared, about his disorganization, about his comments. And I just kind of allowed him to be. And I think he had a good experience on that flight. And he was really sad about going to visit his mom and see her for probably the last time. And God puts you places for reasons. And it's up to us to see those reasons. We have roles, we have skills, we have gifts, and we're able to be a compassionate person for someone when they need it. And we might not see that at the time. But looking back, I'm just I'm so glad I didn't make that guy feel bad because he was in for it the next.
I'm so glad you're a good boy.
Yeah.
And I'm a good girl.
We're all good. It lives in us. It's one of our principles. God is in all of us. So all of us are good inherently. And yeah, that guy was going to go through it on that trip. And I'm just glad that I was able to be there for him in that capacity. Not that I did anything huge. I just kind of sat there and endured it. But I was able to talk with him about his mom, and that's ministering. You're listening to people, you're seeing them, you're allowing them to be, and it's a beautiful thing. And we all have that gift. We all have that. So, just something to think about. There is an intelligent design out there, and I don't know the reasoning behind it. I don't know, but yeah, let's hold some gratitude for where we are when we're in our good spaces, so that we can be a light for other people, because people are dealing with some stuff as we walk around. Everybody's dealing with their own stuff, and it's not always pretty. So, thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you took something away from today. I hope you enjoyed the music, And I really appreciate you being here. We'll see you next time.